Hey Liz,
Akio.
how you doing?
Mm. This would be the most that I've done in 3 days.
Uh, I
Ugh,
know. Trust me, I know the feeling. I'm just getting over something too.
yeah.
Got to be something going around. You're the one that's manning the meeting tonight? Well, virtually, or is
Um, f-
Signy?
yeah, for the most part, yes. I mean, Signy is going to join and she's going to share the she's going to queue up the presentations.
Okay.
And I think Barry's going to join. I don't know if he's at an airport or like headed to the airport. But
Okay.
yeah, that's what we're working with tonight.
Okay. All right. No problem. So
Oh,
I'll go
God.
ahead and make you co-host for now.
Okay. Hi, Nina. Thanks for joining us. Uh, Hey, Victor.
Hey Liz, how are you?
I'm okay.
Okay. I
Yeah.
was I was in your neighborhood today and I called the scaffolding company that has the scaffolding around St. Luke's Church
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
just to remind them there's no lights there again.
Yep.
My second call, they're like, "What, where, what?" I was like, I gave them the address. Your company name is on it. Oh, okay, we'll look into that. I said, you said that last. So, and there's still someone sleeping on the steps, of course.
Yeah.
But not having a light is not good either, because if you walk up that hill at night, it's very dark.
It's really dark. Yeah.
Dark. Yeah. So we supposed to meet with them again soon with that group.
I think that there was a meeting schedule, but I don't remember. I don't know what happened to it.
Okay.
Go back and look.
All right. Yeah. Just trying to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out to the scaffolding company again.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm, hot. Yeah, we've got lots of scaffolding now on Convent Avenue.
Oh wow. Yeah. Which is unusual for Comet Avenue.
Right.
Mhm.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for being on time. Um, this is Community Board 9 Manhattan's Housing, Land Use, and Zoning Committee meeting for February. Um, we are remote tonight because my co-chair is traveling. I have the flu. um, and Barry is also traveling. So thanks everyone for being here remotely with us. And don't get the flu. Don't get the flu. It's not worth it. Mm.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi,
So we
Lauren.
do have a pretty full schedule tonight with 3 presentations. Um, so I can bring up, since we're now at 6:30, I will bring up our agenda. a little bigger for everyone. I'll be right back, everyone. Somebody's at my door. Sorry about that. All right, let's see who is here tonight from our committee. So welcome again. This is Community Board 9, Manhattan's Housing, Land Use, and Zoning Committee meeting for February. If you didn't hear me say it already, we are fully remote. My co-chair, Signe Mortensen, who is here, she is traveling. I don't see Barry yet. And I have the flu, so I will do my very best to keep us going and ideally end at a reasonable hour. So this is our agenda for tonight. We can't call the meeting to order because we are not in person, so we will call the meeting to attention. For committee members, the agenda, we will adopt the agenda. So our agenda is in front of us. As you can see, we have 3 presentations. Donald, I believe I saw Donald is here. At least he was. Michael Palma is here. And Wilfredo Lopez. Oh yeah, there's Don.
Yes.
Great. So that's what we have for presentations and announcements. Do we have anything to add to presentations and announcements tonight? Any other new business? I think we do need to add, and then under old business, we should talk about, I think it's 356 Convent Avenue. It's the row house on the corner of Convent Avenue and 145th Street, owned by the Convent Avenue Baptist Church. If anyone has walked by that corner, you will have seen that there is scaffolding up around the building now and a demo permit. So, Signe, you think this is the right place to add this? I think so. And I don't know if anyone is here from Convent Avenue Baptist Church to speak about what's happening. Doesn't seem like it. Okay. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. This is Barry.
Thanks, Barry. I am also seeing that Clayton is not here. So someone needs to take minutes. This meeting is being transcribed. All right, perfect. Whoever did that, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, the minutes were distributed to committee members from last month. Unfortunately, we are not in person, so we don't have an in-person quorum. And we cannot adopt the minutes, so we will do that next month. Introductions. I don't think I'm going to be able to talk all that much. So I'll just introduce myself quickly. I'm Liz Wojtakis. I'm co-chair of Housing, Land Use, and Zoning. I do historic preservation. I live in an HDC on Convent Avenue. And I am going to turn it over to Signe. Signe, can you unmute yourself and say hello? Nope. How about Barry?
Hi, I don't know if folks can see me, but I am Barry Weinberg. I have been a member of the Housing, Zoning, and Land Use Committee for about 12 years. And I also currently serve as first vice chair of the full board.
Thanks,
And
Barry.
do we have Alana or Juan? I see Juan.
Yep, Juan is here. Juan, would you like
Hi.
to say hello?
Yeah, hi, this is Juan Colmenares. I'm a high school teacher in Harlem. Been living here since 1993, and I've been part of the community board this is my third year, and I love every minute of it. I've learned a lot of stuff in the time I've been here. So thank you all for being here.
Thanks, Juan. I know Annette is here with us. She's a
Good
member of
evening. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our committee meeting. Annette Robinson here, a member of the board for over 10, pretty much a lifelong resident of the community. And we are always glad to see all of you here. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Annette. Victor, would you like to say hello?
Sure. Victor Edwards, current chair of Community Board 9, longtime Harlem resident. I'm glad to see so many people have come out to hear what's going on. It's very important that we keep engaged with housing, land use, and zoning in our community. Thank you all.
Thanks, Victor. I'm looking to see who else from the community board is here. I see, oh, Alana is here.
Hi, sorry, I just had to feed my cat. Yes, hi, I'm Lana Mercado. I'm on this committee, and it's a little hectic right now, and I'm on the Arts and Culture Committee. So thank you. Sorry.
Thanks, Alana. Signe, can you hear us and unmute yourself? No. Okay.
Clayton has joined us, and Heather is here as well.
Woohoo.
FYI.
Clayton, would you like to say hello?
Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. I'm Clayton, Community Board 9 member of the Housing Committee.
Thanks for being here, Clayton. Heather, Jason?
Hi, I'm co-chair of Landmarks Preservation and Parks Committee, and I'm also on the Health and Environment Committee. Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Anyone else like to say hello during this opening?
I think public member Anita Chen is here.
Anita here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anita Ching. I'm a public member of CB9 and have also learned a lot and enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Liz, Dan is here as well.
Yeah, I saw our old friend Dan is here. Dan, you want to say hi?
Hey everybody, I'm on a bus, so I have to be a little quiet. I'm a Community Board 9 refugee and a longtime member of the Airport Star in the Morningside Heights. I work for a affordable housing developer called Apex Building Group, and happy to see everybody. Miss everybody.
We miss you. Thanks for being here. And I like the theme, Juan, that you started about learning at the community board. Someone asked me the other day why I'm on the community board. And I said, because, you know, I mean, in addition to supporting my community, you know, there's just so much to learn about community, dealing with our government here and how to get things done and how to support each other. So, Juan, I really like that. Because yeah, that was why I joined, because April was always teaching me something. Okay. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Oh, Signy, you said hi in the chat. Great. Good. So let's move into presentations. Donald, you're up first with the Manhattanville houses update. Signy, are you Signy, are you sharing his presentation?
There isn't a formal presentation. We're here to provide an update. And we can certainly provide written documentation after the fact if the board would like that.
Great. Hi, Catherine.
I'm not at my computer yet, just so you know.
Yeah. Catherine, I was at the tenants meeting last week with you all.
Yes, and with Victor too, yes.
Yeah. So the floor is yours.
So let me start. You can jump in, but first, I want to thank the board for giving us this opportunity. I hear that feedback. I don't know whose phone is coming.
Michael Palmer, can you mute? Okay. Michael.
Okay, thank you. I want to, thank the board for giving us this opportunity to, give you an update as to what's going on the campus. As many of you, Liz and Victor, was at the tenant meeting, and we had a lot to say, but we couldn't put it in action because of the frustration. So we immediately, hit the ground running the day after, and we have a lot of updates to let you know. I know we only have a 10-minute presentation, so Kathleen Gray will go through the updates of the heating system, the communication, the cleaning of the campus, and many other items to give you an update on the campus, and we'll answer any questions. And we're willing to continue to come back to the board to give presentations to you. So, Catherine, you can take it.
So thank you, everyone, for giving us the opportunity to speak. So Manhattanville, 6 20-story buildings from 129th to 133rd Street. At the end of the site is a packed public housing conversion. And Manhattanville owner is made up of West Harlem Group Assistance, Gilbane Development Company, and Apex Building Group. So Dan, it's great that you're with us tonight as well. With property management handled by ELH Management with support from Gilbane. The general construction company is a joint venture of Apex and Gilbane. So we took over in the middle of December, and we've had a lot of ups and downs, but we've put in place a lot of measures as a result of getting feedback from residents. One of the issues was related to lack of hot water at the site, which of course is a terrible deficiency. And so beginning in the end of January into the beginning of February, we have installed temporary boiler systems at each building to ensure consistent hot water. There's a central boiler plant located in one of the 6 buildings that supplies steam heat to all buildings. And that's up and running and actually providing the heat to all the buildings. So it's when you go by and you see these large external trucks at each building, that's for hot water. We have installed sensors on all of the equipment, sensors inside the boiler room to check pressure, to give immediate alerts if there are any issues with the heating system, and also sensors on all the exterior boilers to check temperature of the water. Again, issuing alerts that go both to property management and to dual fuel. That is our boiler plant technician, hot water technician company, so that someone can immediately be called to address any issues should they arise going forward. There were a lot of concerns related to the cleanliness of the site after takeover, and we immediately have supplemented the staffing that's available on site with a team that works from 6 to 8 a.m. every morning to ensure that all the garbage that may have been scattered as a result of people breaking bags or dumping trash at the back doors of every building are collected and properly bagged and disposed of. They're also responsible for doing circuits around every building. So garbage that may have been dropped out of windows or blown on site is also removed in a timely fashion every day. We have purchased additional equipment to move garbage through the site as quickly as possible. A new Bobcat. We have rented, but we will have we are purchasing or have purchased, but it will arrive a brand new pickup truck to expedite the movement of garbage to the central waste yard, which you will notice if you go over to the site on Old Broadway and 131st Street. And we'll continue with that additional level of staffing as long as necessary to ensure that the cleanliness level that we all expect is maintained. There were also concerns about the cleanliness inside the buildings, and we hired a third party to complete an initial deep clean process, which included stripping, scraping, waxing all of the floors so that they have a high sheen, washing all of the windows, deep cleaning, washing from ceiling to floor, all of the 3 fire stairs per building, washing the stairs themselves and the banisters, all of the doorknobs, so that's fully sanitized. All of the janitor closets, there's 1 per floor, have been checked, have running water, a proper electric source so we can plug in our buffing machines. With new locks. There was a concern that residents had because they do have concerns about people breaking in and inappropriately using those spaces. Everything is new locks. The deep cleans are finishing actually tonight in the 6th building, and then we're starting another round of deep clean where the same firm is coming back, scraping down all of the tile walls, removing any of the historic wax buildup that may have dirtied the walls over time, so they're completely cleaned and stripped. And then we have gone back in, given more to make sure that all the porters fully understand what their assignments are, how to clean properly, and make sure that the deep cleans that we've implemented are maintained over time, including how to deal with salt that gets trekked in from all of the snow days that we have. And floors will be buffed and waxed on an ongoing basis to ensure that those spaces remain good looking as they are today. There were other concerns specifically related to communications, confusion, lack of responsiveness. When we closed, everyone received a welcome package with detailed information about how to communicate with property management, how to shift over to the work ticket process that ELH has in place, moving from the NYCHA procedures because they're not identical. And we gave a variety of phone numbers to contact, central call number similar to the NYCHA experience, but also a call number for the management office. The property manager had given out his personal number in certain circumstances, and that was causing some complications. So we put in place more simplified procedures, which are posted in the hallways of all of the buildings with a single number, which is answered by property management during the day, rolls to a call center if the switchboard is overwhelmed. That same call center turns on after normal business hours, and those people are prepared to take the work ticket information that people have. Work ticket numbers will be issued to every resident, similar to their experience when they were living in with NYCHA management. The numbers are assigned during regular business hours, and if you call in something during the weekend or late night hours, the number is assigned to you the next business day. We've continued to meet with the Tenants Association and committed to giving Veronica Nieves regular updates on all of the activities. Definitely, we learned, always learning, as people were saying, the importance of making sure that people know everything that we possibly know before things happen. Obviously, there are emergencies that we can't anticipate, but doing a lot of additional work to make sure that we are noticing everything properly. We've implemented robocalls. They're starting tomorrow to supplement the the paper service advisories that we post in buildings in preparation for the repairs that we have embarked on. We have a 3-year construction period, and we are committed to making sure that people fully understand what we're doing before we do it so they can prepare. We have historically done large consolidated meetings at the Manhattanville Community Center where attendance maybe is 100, 120 people, but we have 1,272 apartments at Manhattanville. So we're embarking on a different strategy going forward of hosting lobby meetings monthly in every building, and a workday evening 4 to 6 is the current plan, although we'll adjust based on feedback that we get and attendance, where residents have an opportunity to meet the property manager, assistant property manager, the development team, and representatives of the general construction team, and are able to ask questions, discuss issues one-on-one with people in the lobby, an opportunity to make additional personal one-on-one appointments at another time if it's not appropriate to discuss things in the lobby, but to ensure that residents understand we're available and want to hear what they have to say. At those meetings, we'll have one-sheets available, which will briefly summarize the accomplishments of the previous month with a look ahead of what we're scheduled to complete in terms of construction work and property management initiatives over the next month. Goddard Riverside is our supportive service provider. They are moving into a temporary office space in one of the ground floor storage rooms that we've fixed up in 1430 Amsterdam Avenue. And they too will have representatives at these meetings. They're there to be a neutral party for residents who may not feel comfortable talking about issues directly with us, but also a resource for people who are interested in workforce or assistance on really any issue that they need addressed from a supportive services point of view. I'm going to pause there because I know there were a lot of issues that came up at the meeting with residents, and maybe Donald wants to say a little bit more.
Yeah, I was just clearing my throat, but Catherine, I think you hit everything on the head. On the sensors, we're also putting in 20% of the apartments will put sensors in to monitor the heat. So that's something that's gonna, that's gonna happen, especially in the apartments where we're getting, complaints that there's heat issues. We can see in real time, if they are heat issues. And the other thing on the security, we're gonna tap into NYCHA's security cameras, and we'll add in some temporary cameras so we can start monitoring the site and the campus in real time. We met yesterday. We had a great meeting with the 26 precinct six to bring them up to speed as to what we're doing and to give us assistance in some of the quality of life issues. And they're on board 100%, and we will continue to meet with them. There's a few things that they ask of us to get to them immediately, and we're working on that. Okay, and I think we can open it up for questions and answers now.
May I just tweak a little bit? I mean, historically, the NYCHA cameras are recording video, and then the video is pulled if there's an issue that arises. The temporary system that we're putting in place is placing new cameras at the location where the existing NYCHA cameras currently run, plus adding some additional cameras in the backs of the building specifically focused on the areas where garbage is collected. But these temp cameras will be monitored. We're working with a company called Reliant. So we get real-time feedback on the conditions that are observed on site. And that same company will be installing the permanent security camera system, which will be 1,300 cameras spread throughout the buildings, in every fire stair on every floor, in the hallways, elevators, entrance to the building, back door to the building, roofs, other portions of the grounds. And again, they're monitored and allow us to both, work with the police should unfortunate circumstances arise, but they're also there for us to help us enforce house rules. And was something that residents were really concerned about. Reliance was on site today. The Wi-Fi internet is all set up for the system, and they are beginning to run their lines tomorrow. It will take approximately until the end of the month to have all of the temp cameras up and running and in place.
Thanks, Catherine. We're going to start with questions. Barry, you're the first hand up.
Yep, thanks, Catherine. That was very thorough. I just wanted to raise one concern that I had been given in late November, I think, where I think it was around the time that leases were being signed. And there was some concern that originally the leases were only offered on an iPad. And then also there was a concern that the leases commit the leaseholder to following the house rules, but then the house rules were never provided with the leases. And it sounds like some of that got worked out, but if you can just kind of address how you've made sure that people get that information as to what they're signing legally, in part because I know there's a lot of concern and mistrust, but also because many folks in Manhattanville are seniors and may not be super digitally literate or may want to have paper to refer back to later.
So Legal Aid Society is involved in this whole process. They were invited to all of their meetings, and actually part of the PACT program is that the developers enter into a contract to fund Legal Aid Society to provide free services to residents. They have a hotline number and make themselves available to go over any issues that residents may have, including particulars of their lease, and any concerns related to what's happening at the property, one-on-one appointments. 2, yes, we did a lot of the work on iPads, but there are always paper versions available. I'm sorry if people felt like that wasn't the case. Ultimately, when the leases were finally signed, we did send a paper copy of the lease approved by NYCHA. So they would sign the lease with us, then we would send and upload the lease with all of the riders, including the house rules, to NYCHA for review. And only when NYCHA accepted all of the paperwork was the lease considered signed. NYCHA sent independently confirmations of the lease with the registered rent for each apartment approved, sort of the full contract rent, the subsidy amount, the residence portion of the rent sent directly to every household in the mail to corroborate the paper lease that we also mailed back at the time of closing. So people should have their full paper copy plus something from NYCHA.
Got it. Yeah, this was around the time before the leases had been signed, and it was my understanding that legal aid had actually brought it to the residents' attention that, signing the lease committed them to following the house rules, but the house rules hadn't been included. But it sounds like that has been, if everyone has gotten a paper copy of both the house rules and the lease, I think it sounds like that's been then addressed.
I hope so. And if you meet anyone who hasn't gotten all of that paperwork, please let us know and we will make sure that's rectified.
Victor, you're next.
Good evening, Catherine. How are you?
Good, good. Nice to see you again.
Likewise. 2 quick questions. One is a staffing issue. My understanding was when NYCHA had the buildings, they had 32 caretakers, and now I'm told there's only 25. Is there a particular reason for that, given the size of the development and the conditions? I don't know why there would be less staff than more staff.
Well, there was never that full complement from NYCHA on staff. Maybe it was on paper, but they didn't have it before we closed. We've spent very long periods of time going over the staffing plan in detail with NYCHA and had plans to, where possible, mechanize and automate processes to create more efficiencies. Obviously, we took over before all of the new equipment is in and have had to supplement that staff right now. We will continue to make sure that we have all of those people on site. And again, we've got 3 years worth of improvements to implement, and we'll continue to evaluate whether we need those higher staff levels or whether we can slowly move back down to the original plan. It will be something that we would do incrementally, understanding we've got a baseline commitment of service to residents. So for the moment, we are supplementing all of the, the resources as I described, and we'll live and learn.
Okay, that's good. Second question is doors. I've visited Manhattanville twice since you took over, and I noticed front and entrance doors and back doors are all open, wide open, often propped open, and not closed. I think this is a dangerous situation. I know they break the locks and the doors, but I think staff could do better at just closing doors as they enter and exit themselves. I think that would be helpful.
I am sensitive to that. I just want to talk about a few of the procedures. One complaint that we got was that contractors were propping the doors open to make it easier to move things in and out. And we have put in place new protocols with them, making sure if they're doing that, they have to have a flagger there to make sure they're monitoring the doors if they're proposing to keep them open. We are working, we've gone back in, we put, repaired the locks And I was just at Building 5 yesterday. We'd taken away the blocks that kept the front door open. You know, we do have and there are a lot of residents that were not happy because, of course, they were used to walking in and out without the use of keys. So we are working on making sure that, you know, if you don't have a key, you got to come in and get a key. I think historically with NYCHA, there was a fee, you know, it's like you're assigned a certain number of keys, people didn't want to pay. And that's something we're working through in terms of, you know, where did your key go, et cetera. The back doors are not keyed.
Right.
This is part of NYCHA's security strategy. Those are supposed to be closed all the time. And they're not set up with locks for residents to open. But it's also true that for many people, they're oriented to the north. The site's on a steep slope, and the entrance through the back door, it doesn't have steps basically, versus if you're coming in from the front, you often have to walk upstairs. So a lot of people like to move in and out of the buildings through the back door. The plan, the larger long-term plan is that we will change all the doors and locks and actually put key fobs on the front and back door, recognizing that that's really how people use the space. We also have an issue that we are working through, which is that for decades, the Housing Authority really didn't push residents to use trash chutes and put garbage cans at the rear door of every building. And so a lot of people are in the habit of coming downstairs, pushing the door open and tossing bags out, just sort of in a garbage area. So it's sort of convenient. People like having the door propped open because they're moving. That's how they get rid of stuff. So it's not finally resolved. And so when we come back next month, I'll report more on it. You know, I think it's a struggle to put a lock on is totally contrary to really the way people are using the space.
Right.
So it's something we're going to have to work through with the Tenants Association to figure out the appropriate. We do have a long-term strategy, and I will explore if we can and expedite the backdoor solution.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who has a question? I don't know. We do have a large audience tonight. Is there anyone who is a resident of Manhattanville houses that would like to speak and just talk about the conditions or your engagement with the new ownership? Okay. Catherine, just before we close out, just to confirm with you, that residents do have heat, water, hot water now.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, we appreciate you, Catherine, you and Donald coming in tonight. And you're welcome to come again next month. I think it is helpful for the community board to have an update on what's going on at Manhattanville houses on the regular, because it is such a large part of our community. And yeah, I mean, and you know, we're here to support the residents in, you know, however we can.
And I'll make sure that you have the schedule of the lobby meetings should any members wish to join us there too.
Perfect.
And,
That's great.
and I just wanted to add, we're also putting together some communications for the elected officials and the community board. So we'll get that out to both, you know, chairpersons, Liz and Sinai, and to Victor. So you can get a, you know, maybe a bi-weekly update on what's going on as we make, you know, the progress that we're making.
Great.
Thanks, Donald.
Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we are going to turn to our second presentation of the evening. Michael Palma is here going to present on Senate Bill S-880 in regard to HDFCs.
Yes, hi. Am I don't know if you guys are sort of pushing the PowerPoint, or am I doing that?
I can share it for you now. I'm at the
Okay.
apologies, everyone. I
Yay!
am apologies. I'm on the road. Thank you, Liz, for taking the helm, even though you are under the weather, Signe co-chair of housing. So let me share your presentation and we can move forward with that.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for being here.
Right. If you can start with the first slide. Well, first, just let me just say thank you for allowing the coalition to make this presentation about this very critical legislation for HDFCs, not only for HDFCs and CB9, but HDFCs citywide. I'd like to thank Liz and Signe in particular as chairs of the Housing Committee, as well as Victor Edwards, board chair, and Barry Weinberg, board vice chair, for always being supportive of our efforts and for guiding us through the process and procedures of CB9. We are especially grateful to its sponsors, Robert Jackson, as you can see in the first slide, Robert Jackson, Senator Robert Jackson, New York State Senator Robert Jackson, and Cordell Clear, as well as Assembly Member Al Taylor. I'd like to recognize now the fact that the work of the coalition, indeed, many of us who support affordable housing in our community do so on the shoulders of our many great predecessors who are no longer with us, including the late, great April Tyler, former chair of this committee, as well as the former chair of CB9, Jordi Reyes Montblanc. My name is Michael Palma, one of the founders of the HDFC Coalition and one of its volunteer leaders, and I will be giving this presentation today. I'd like to point out that we are also joined by several of the Coalition Steering Committee members this evening. They are Vladimir Pavlovic, Julia Hess, Bruce Robertson, and John McBride. All of us are long-term HDFC shareholders, and many of us are involved in running our buildings. So, as you can see, the name of the legislation is the HDFC Self-Determination, Preservation, and Affordability Act, S.880. In the Senate, in the Assembly, it's A.2707, ostensibly the same law. It is an amendment to, it's a legislation to amend the private housing finance law. If you can click the next slide, Signe. With respect to CB9, there are approximately 144 HDFC co-ops in Community District 9. They represent approximately 6,275 units or apartments, which represent approximately 28,238 District 9 residents. 19 of these 144 HDFCs are considered distressed, most of which can be made whole with technical and professional assistance, and some maybe even with some form of financing. Of these 19 distressed HDFCs, 9 are severely distressed and may need deeper city assistance to remain HDFCs. And as you can see in the footnote there, distressed HDFCs is generally defined as co-op buildings with municipal arrears of more than $3,000 per unit. Severely distressed would be defined as something close to double that amount. These municipal arrears include DOF, DEP, and ERPE arrears. Next. So we find HDFCs at the crossroads, and here's the big picture. HDFC co-ops, a critical affordable housing asset in New York City, are at a crossroads at their partial property tax break expires in 2029. Expiration of the HDFC property tax break in 2029 would result in a significant loss of affordable housing for New York City and many HDFC shareholders losing their homes. The legislation, 880 and A 2707 resolves this issue by providing a continuing partial property tax breaks for all HDFCs in exchange for them remaining affordable. Next slide. The Private Housing Finance Law, PHFL, must be amended. Private Housing Finance Law, Article 11, provided a 40-year partial tax break in exchange for temporary regulatory controls. However, most HDFC regulatory controls have expired, and the tax break expires in 2029. If the current tax break is not replaced by the proposed bills, HDFCs face dire choices: increased maintenance, forcing shareholders with lowest incomes to sell; risk financial disaster and loss of home ownership; dissolve and reincorporate as market rate co-ops, those who can afford to do so. Banks are already hesitating to provide financing to HDFC co-ops, to shareholders and prospective buyers in light of the 2029 expiration. These bills provide a path for HDFCs to remain both affordable and financially stable. Thank you, Sig. So here's a summary of the bill and what it does. It preserves HDFCs as affordable by providing a continuing and permanent real estate tax benefit while promoting affordable home ownership. It ensures HDFC's long-term fiscal stability and avoids loss of home ownership. It expands eligibility for real estate tax benefits to all HDFCs, including those in the Bronx. Helps distressed HDFCs receive assistance. Addresses uncertainty for HDFC shareholders and affirms their home ownership rights, dignity, and ability to govern themselves. And it promotes basic fairness and justice by respecting the HDFC homeowners' sacrifices and sweat equity, recognizes the city's many promises and commitments to HDFCs, and being consistent with how all other private housing under the PHFL has been treated in the past. Here are some of the salient features of the bill. HDFC's new tax benefit is the amount greater of the current HDFC tax exemption and 200% of the tax abatement market rate co-ops currently receive. In exchange, any unit buyer's income must meet the existing statutory income limits for HDFCs. That is the original formula from Section 576(1)(b) or 165% of area median income. HDFCs must, accordingly, HDFCs must self-certify compliance annually to HPD, and what they're self-certifying are the sale of those units. HPD may revoke part or all of the tax benefit if it finds violations. And these are all parts of the bill. And we're wrapping up here a brief history of the of HDFCs and of the coalition. The city sold buildings in disrepair to tenants for stability. Tenants rebuilt these homes and their neighborhoods. HDFC units remain stable, safe homes for generations. And a little bit about the HDFC coalition. And if you want to see what I look like, there is me in the little picture right there in the middle, standing next to Mark Levine, who's been a great supporter of HDFCs. But the coalition itself was founded by HDFC shareholders. We are advocating for about 100,000 plus HDFC residents, and we have proudly influenced agency policy to: 1, overregulate HDFCs, sustain clean water for New York City, excluded HDFCs from harmful local laws, remove HDFCs from tax lien sales, stopped overpricing of fire and general liability insurance rates, supported real estate tax forgiveness, and probably most importantly, promote self-determination for all HDFCs. And with that presentation, I'd like to thank everybody for us giving us the time to make this quick presentation. You can see the legislation itself. I don't know, Signe, if you distributed or Liz distributed a copy or at least a link of the legislation currently on the State Assembly and Senate websites. You can track the progress of the bill there. You can read the details of the bill there. I think I've done a very quick job, because I know you have a very long agenda, of what the bill is all about and what it tries to address. And with that, I'd like to take any questions. And if I may, if I cannot answer any questions, Liz and Signe, if you wouldn't mind me deferring to one of my committee members.
And Liz just shared the bill in the chat, if anybody wants to.
Fantastic. Thank you, Liz.
Yep. So questions? Raise your hand or, yep.
I have, Michael, I have one question. I mean, I've read it. I've read the bill a couple of times. I feel like I probably need to read it a couple more. I live in an HDFC. We have a regulatory agreement because we needed money for local law 11. You know, but it's challenging running an HDFC, you know, on the margins of what people can afford. So my question is, I guess, not about any of that, but this idea that HDFCs have the ability to come out of affordability. And I guess my concern would be, because I've seen it happen in other cities, where you have a developer who comes in and starts buying all the apartments and, you know, takes over the board and turns it into market rate.
Yeah, that's a very drastic situation, I dare say. And it's precisely one of the issues that this bill addresses. The intent of this bill is to incentivize HDFCs to stay affordable home ownership. If the law is not passed and the dam tax exemption is not made permanent, then the choices for HDFCs, and this is for all HDFCs, and not ones that have sort of are in the situation that you probably described, but all HDFCs will have a very tough financial choice to make. Either we stay affordable and receive no tax exemption, or we become market rate and receive the market rate tax abatements for New York City cooperatives. And so what this bill does is sort of forestall that type of tough decision and say, no, we're going to make permanent the dam tax exemptions so that you can remain affordable home ownership for our communities. And it does so with provision of making permanent the dam tax exemption, and by also having HCFCs certify that every year that it is in compliance with the terms of this law as far as the sale of units to those folks who are under the two sort of provisions whereby the current limits provided by the private housing finance law are 165% of AMI.
Right.
So precisely, we're concerned about this too, this issue as well. And we see that this bill incentivizes HDFCs to stay affordable. It keeps them in the fold, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, I guess my concern, just reading it, is thinking about, you know, someone else who is not the HDFC, like, you know, getting this in their head that that they can take over a building, flip it to market rate. That was, you know, previously an HDFC.
Yeah, I think that scenario seems very, very drastic, and I think HDFCs are always, and the coalition is always on the alert to sort of watch out for those types of situations. I know we helped a lot of distressed HDFCs in Community District 9. I do personally, as well as Palante, and we deal with these issues day in and day out. And I've not heard that. I've not heard of an instance of that particular situation, but I've heard of things that have come close to that. And some of the things that this law provides is also providing technical assistance, technical and professional assistance for distressed HDFCs. HDFCs that may not be financially distressed, but they are sort of have other challenges, and where professional and technical assistance would help them remain viable. So yeah, that is a major concern of ours, as is many other concerns that we have that are happening within the HDFC community.
You.
Hey, Mike, could I throw in a comment on top of that?
I'm not the chair, so the chair has to.
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's a very legitimate question. But a couple things. First of all, the whole bill is designed around any buyer has to meet the income restriction. I don't want to make it look like I'm dismissing your concern at all. At the same time, I don't know how many developers would be able to really meet the income restrictions to buy even one apartment. Another thing is most of these apartments stay within families. So these apartments don't often come up for sale. Once in a while they do, but I don't think at a rate that would make that a really viable business plan for a developer, and not all in one building. And owner occupancy is key. So I think that we can go take a look at the bill and see if it's ironclad against that. But I think it's already very prohibitive against that type of scenario. And I think that would be a very difficult scenario. And if anybody came to me and said, hey, would this ever work as a business plan, I'd pretty much laugh at them. But it doesn't mean that there haven't been other problems in other cities and other types of problems that are similar in other buildings.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen it happening in Florida, in Miami, where developers are coming in and buying, but you're right about HDFCs and the financial cap, that would be a hurdle. I will say that I live in what I think is the nicest HDFC. I live in the most beautiful building, the nicest people, and I think we have 3 apartments for sale, and they've been for sale for a while because the interest rates are awful. So and normally something would sell here pretty quickly. So we are seeing vacancies sitting around.
Liz, is that also because we've noticed that banks aren't providing mortgages to prospective buyers because of the sunsetting of the damn tax credit? Is that part of the problem of why your units are not selling?
I have not heard that. I haven't heard that, but I can ask my board chair.
Yeah, that's been an issue, and I think we have Bruce Robertson here, who is a member of the steering committee and who's also a broker. Bruce, do you have anything to share on that front? If you're still on.
I can't say anything in general. It's on a case by case, and the market is still developing. So no, nothing to add other than it's expensive and difficult to leave being an HDFC. Not easy, and it's not cheap. So I think most buildings want to stay the way they are. Thank you.
Barry, you've had your hand up. Why don't you go ahead with your question?
Yeah, and I apologize if it's vague. Michael, we talked about the same issue that Liz had raised in terms of HDFCs being able to leave the program. And you explained it in a way that made a lot of sense that is now slipped my mind, and I was trying to remember. The bill refers to an attorney general's opinion that says that HDFC cannot unincorporate, reincorporate. And I think that everyone in this room does not want to see HDFCs go the way of Michelama, where they all left en masse so that they could capture the difference between their fixed price and their market price. And to a certain extent, HDFCs don't have that problem as much because they don't have price caps. And they they will be sold for whatever the market can bear, limited to the qualified income segment of the market. And so my memory of our conversation was that between the expanded tax benefits that are made permanent and the improvements to some of the issues around regulatory agreements, something made it very unlikely for an HDFC to go that route, and I can't remember it. Do you remember it?
I don't know. I mean, this is I'm not trying to remember our conversation myself, and I'm not sure exactly the thrust of your question. But if it's whether or not HDFCs have the right to leave the program, it is our opinion and the opinion of our attorneys, and quite frankly, the city's opinion as well, that yes, we do have that right to leave the the program once our initial regulatory period expired. And this is exactly what's happening to many HDFCs right now. We are of a generation of expiring regulatory agreements, and what we want to do is keep and incentivize HDFCs to stay in the program if we can only make permanent the dam tax exemption. Um, if that is not made, if there is no prospect that the exemption will be made permanent, then what is the choice of the choice for HDFCs are very dire. You know, many can't afford to get out of the program to begin with. It's a very expensive legal process. Some can't afford to do it. Maybe Liz's beautiful building can afford to do it. My building, which I think is one of the nicer HDFCs in West Harlem, can afford to do it. Do we want to do it? No, we do not want to do it. We want to remain affordable, but we also need, in order to survive, in order to make ends meet, my building as well as Liz's, I would suppose, that damn tax credit. Without that, what choices do we have? We face, you know, a we're literally at a crossroads, and it's very, very difficult for us to imagine a scenario where we would receive the damn tax credit and want to get out of the system. That just doesn't make any sense. We want the damn tax credit. We want to remain affordable. That is what we're advocating for. That's what this bill is advocating for. But without this bill and without this damn tax exemption being made permanent, the choices are very, very tough for HDFCs and those and dire. I would like to maybe ask one of my fellow committee members to maybe begin to answer your question. If not Vladimir, John McBride, who have been both been dealing with our attorneys on this. Vladimir, do you want to give it a shot?
Sure. Hi everyone, and thanks so much for your time tonight. So to make one point is, you know, our bill simply recognizes the right of HDFCs to dissolve or reincorporate. We think that the 2015 Attorney General's office opinion is wrong on the law, and that was pretty much admitted by the New York City in their sponsor's memo to a subsequent bill, which was I believe introduced by one of the upstate legislators, probably at the behest of somebody from the city, Betty Little or Betty White, I forget. This was like maybe 2017. So the city in that sponsors memo basically said, if something is not done, HDFCs are going to leave the program. And as Mike said, the whole sort of premise of this bill is that we've been treated with a stick rather than a carrot for forever. And this bill is offering a carrot, is offering an incentive for us to stay in the program. And we believe that it gives us, it gives the city the best chance to keep, as many HDFCs as possible in the affordable stock. As Mike said, if the tax exemption is allowed to expire without anything being done, by pure necessity, HDFCs, whoever whichever HDFC can leave the program, can afford to do so, will try and will do that. I suppose some will probably just unilaterally abandon affordability restrictions and start selling units at market prices. Some are going to increase their maintenance drastically in order to meet additional financial obligations. Maybe they'll impose special assessments, and then in that scenario, the shareholders, the homeowners who are actually in the greatest need of affordable housing will be impacted first. And those that are not able to afford these increases will be forced to sell over time. So it's really a bad set of circumstances if this dam tax is not, or rather, another thing to make clear is this is not a renewal of the dam tax. This is a brand new kind of tax exemption created on the state level.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. The part about carrots and sticks definitely makes sense, having been there in 2017 for that fight. I think that the plain language summary I think that I'm trying to remember is the bill recognizes what's already considered by the coalition to be a fact of law, which is that HDFCs can dissolve and reincorporate as market rate. But that HDFCs will be deeply incentivized to remain in the HDFC program by the new tax break, which will be more valuable to some, I think, than the dam was. And also, I think that the buildings would get hit with significantly higher maintenance charges if they left. And again, you have these articles, these spurious articles functionally, that will profile the 1 to 3 sales, a year of HDFCs that have very high purchase prices. But HDFCs are income limited. They're not price capped, which is different than Mitchell-Lama. And so as long as the buyer has the income to qualify, the HDFC did nothing wrong in that. And I think that actually also reduces any incentive a building has to leave the HDFC program and leave the tax benefit, because the difference between what they could sell as an HDFC versus as a market co-op is not really that big compared to Mitchell-Lama, where the difference was hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I think that is why I am heartened by the way the bill has been written, even though I was originally concerned about that. I think the only scenario that worries my mind is where you have a number of original tenants who are longtime residents who, can still live there in part because of the low maintenance. And if the building demographics change over time, other people may not face the same constraints in terms of income and want to leave the program. But that's my only hypothetical. Yeah.
That's a really valid concern. I would say that most bylaws in most HDFCs require supermajority of shareholders to approve, something like a momentous decision like going public. But certainly, I assume there might be situations in the future where that demographic changes, enough that that might happen. Again, the bill provides an incentive, but I'm not sure that that's something that in the long term it precludes.
I have a question. Can I be heard?
Hi, Glory. Yes, Andres has had his hand up for quite some time.
I've been looking.
Can we let Andres ask his question, and then Glory, you'll be next.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. A quick question. I live in an HDFC and I have an Article 11 tax exemption through HPD. From the description in the bill, it sounds like the restrictions are very similar to that HPD tax exemption. Has the coalition looked into the Article 11 exemption? So in other words, we don't receive a dam tax exemption as far as I know.
I think it's one and the same. and not all HDFCs receive damp tax exemptions because what it is a cap on the assessed value of the building, and some buildings, their assessed value don't reach the cap, and if they don't reach the cap, they don't benefit from the exempt portion of the tax exemption. So if this bill would correct that. This bill would say all HDFCs get a damp tax exemption, and even ones whose assessed values don't reach the current limits, especially those in our community, and especially many of those in the Bronx. Many buildings who are not assessed high enough so to take advantage and receive presently a tax break. Under
Yeah,
this bill, you would get a tax break.
we do get a full tax exemption from the city in my building, and I think it might be a little bit unclear. I wasn't sure exactly what you meant when you said that it's one and the same. Our building entered into agreement when it underwent a renovation with HPD in order to receive a 40-year tax exemption, and that happened in 2015.
Yeah.
So that will last until 2053, whether or not the damp tax is
Yeah.
extended, as far as I know. And so that's what it looks like. The restrictions that we entered into in my building in 2013 are very similar to the kinds of restrictions that are mentioned in the bill. So I was just wondering if the coalition had thought about the Article 11 tax exemption, what the position is there, if there's a reason why the coalition prefer. I mean, I understand the interest in formalizing some of these routes, and of course, for the buildings that have the damp tax exemption right now, it's a serious concern, and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
I was just wondering what.
Let me just make a very quick comment about that. A lot of buildings, cannot get financing or loan because they don't receive the damp tax exemption or for other reasons. And they have to rely on loans from the city. And it seems to me that your building took a loan from the city for whatever purpose, maybe some sort of a much needed capital improvements, but those loans come with regulatory agreements. And our bill makes it a condition that under the new damp tax exemption to take place as soon as the bill is passed, no regulatory agreement is needed to be signed by any building in order to receive the damp tax exemption. It's unfortunate now that many buildings who find themselves in a particular situation where they need to take out a loan to fix a roof, and it could be like $200,000 loan, find themselves taking a loan from the city and also signing a regulatory agreement. John, did you want to say something to that?
Okay, sure. So just to be clear, right? So if this bill is passed, it does not mean that any regulatory agreement that an HDFC has signed with HPD dissolves. That regulatory agreement will stay in place. Is your building getting zero taxes through this Article 11 that you have?
Yes, and actually, we're very happy about it.
Right. So that wouldn't go away, right? Because this bill does not prohibit individual buildings from striking individual agreements with HPD. If it did, the bill would be a non-starter. Albany, I don't believe, and most people don't believe, Albany is not going to take away the authority of the housing agency in the largest city in New York State to be able to make individual agreements and deals to save specific buildings. They're not going to do that. So, however, so this bill would not give all HDFCs zero taxes. What it would do is it would sort of maintain the tax break, what's called the damp tax break, at the level that it is now, but permanently and on the state level, and it would slowly, and the tax the tax payment would very slowly increase, as it has very slowly increased over the years. When, you know, the 40-year tax break that expires in 2029. Did you have any follow-up? Did that help, or did you have follow-up?
No, thank you. That I think yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Sure.
Sorry, Andres, if I didn't understand the question. Exemption doesn't mean in our bill and in the current terminology does not mean not paying any real estate tax. In the current configuration, it just means that that portion of the tax assessment above the cap is exempt from taxation. So that's what that means.
I also want to reiterate that this is not a no tax. This bill does not say that HDFCs would pay zero tax. If you go back to the formation of the HDFC coalition, which was formed, as Michael said, along with Michael Palmer, Jordi Reyes, Mont Blanc, his strong opinion, he was the former chair of this community board. His strong opinion was that HDFCs, you know, by and large, although there are specific workouts that have to be done with specific buildings that are really in trouble, but in general, his opinion was that HDFCs should always pay some tax, that HDFC should always be contributors to the tax base of New York City and be active citizens and active taxpayers. However, within their means to pay.
Thanks,
My
Jeff.
turn?
Yep, go ahead, Glory.
Hi, I'm Gloria Ann Kirstein. I'm an HDFC shareholder since 1993. Been in my building 42 years on West 106th Street, Community Board 7. I've also participated in the HDFC Coalition, focusing mostly on an anti-foreclosure committee to help HDFCs in distress that were facing foreclosure back in 2018. And we did succeed in getting 18 HDFCs, 530 households off of the foreclosure list, and they are still HDFCs to this day, which was one of the good victories for the coalition. I want to thank those who worked on the PowerPoint. Very important. It's very clear. I would like to know if the HDFC coalition has a very robust email list that has been very successful in the past in getting certain bills either prevented from happening or not voted on or quashed, as well as HPD's campaign to try to get our damn tax break revoked 13 years early and make all of us sign a regulatory agreement. So our email list is very important. And I would like to ask if there are plans to get the word out, to get more support amongst the state legislators who represent HDFCs throughout the four boroughs, if there's a plan to send out this PowerPoint presentation through the Gmail list.
Gloria, thank you. Fantastic question. This is our very first public outreach that we've done since the bill has been introduced, and since we've had a sort of hearing about it at the state and assembly level for the benefit of New York State and Assembly members. So we thought it was right to come to CB9 as our first effort, since CB9 has the highest concentration of share units and residents. And if we are right now, as we speak, developing a plan with our state Senator Robert Jackson to have an outreach and dissemination of this bill. As a matter of fact, Liz and Signe, I sent out an FAQ as well with the PowerPoint, and in that FAQ, there is the question, what can I do to help pass this legislation? And in that FAQ, I don't know if it was made available to everybody at the meeting tonight, or I'm not sure how that would have been possible. I thought we were going to meet in person. I thought we could hand it out at the meeting, but yeah, there it is. And you'll see at the bottom, if you scroll down, one of the questions is,
I can send this out to our MailChimp list, just so you know. If you
fantastic.
agree, if you want me to, I can send out that PowerPoint presentation and this to our 500
Sure.
Lots of HDFC members on that list.
Sure, and you'll be one of the many efforts that we're going to do to go to each community in the HDFC world here in New York City to make this very similar presentation. and get our members to, Gloria, as we did in the past, get our members to call their representatives and if not educate them on what's happening, to have them support or sponsor the bill.
I have two more questions. In terms of the fact that this bill is going to give 100% coverage to all HDFCs in terms of getting the very needed tax break. Among those HDFCs that faced foreclosure that we were fortunately able to pull off the foreclosure list were HDFCs that didn't get the damn tax break, not because they didn't meet the cap, but because of the nature of their incorporation, community service society, or what other group was helping them. They just never were included. And one of them is actually in CB9's district, and they have a $2 million property tax arrears that because they're paying the highest tax rate in the city, they don't even get the conventional co-op 17 to 25% tax break. So my question is there a way to make this 100% coverage retroactive to those HDFCs that never got the damn tax break at all?
That's a good question. I don't know that I can answer that. Is any one of our steering committee members can answer that?
So I think the bill is not designed to work retroactively. So I'm not sure that that would work. I hear your concern, and it's, unfortunately the bill is not, and I don't even know that it would be, that it could apply retroactively. But the bill does provide an update to a date. So it basically gives the city the authority to extend tax forgiveness assistance to HDFCs that are distressed, but it does not wipe out the tax, the arrears.
Okay, thanks for answering that. The last question I have is that portion of the bill that gives HPD the power to revoke the tax break if there are violations under which the HDFC is allowed to receive the tax break. Given HPD's track record, and by the way, I worked for HPD for 26 years in code enforcement, though not DAMP, so don't hate me. But given the track record of HPD, does the bill in its particulars provide a good protocol for any HDFC that might be facing revocation of the damn tax break because HPD says you made a violation, even though if I know the law correctly, I'm not a lawyer, HPD per se cannot revoke a tax break on property. That would have to be the city council would do it. So HPD would have to go to city council and say this HDFC is not in compliance. I'm actually asking two questions here. HPD would have to go to city council and say an HDFC is not in compliance. Therefore, they must, be excluded from the tax break. And does the bill itself have some type of protocol to protect an HDFC, some type of due process whereby HPD can't just simply announce you're in violation without an appeals process, without, especially given what we have in Washington, without a way to protect itself from a capricious decision on the part of HPD?
Thank you, Gloria. That's a very, very good question. And knowing our city, and you who work there, it's a very, very good question. We do have some provision in the law from the state's perspective on this. Of course, the law doesn't get into the business of how the city actually implements these things, and I guess that would have to be negotiated. But I would like to defer to one of our members who can maybe speak to this a little bit more clearly than I can.
Yeah, I can speak to that. Thank you, Glory, for the question. It's a really important question that we spent a lot of time, sort of shaping this part of the bill. And yes, there is a process. First, the obligation. So the only obligation of an HDFC under this bill to receive the tax benefit, besides abiding by the income restriction in unit sales, is to certify annually to HPD that all sales of units in the previous year have complied with the law, right? Now, HPD can then review and audit some documents, and we define them as sales records, precisely. So we sort of limited them by that language, precisely because we don't want an HPD to go on a fishing expedition of all the documents, but they can audit the sales records in order to ensure that the certification was correct. If they find that there was a violation, that there was a willful violation of the provision, in other words, that the board approved a sale to somebody who's non-income compliant, then HPD can, as you said, go to City Council and request that HDFC loses the tax benefit in proportion to the shares that let's call it a violating unit is relative to all the shares that the HDFC owns. So let's say that there's a building of 10 units. If there was, in the previous year, there was a unit that was improperly transferred to somebody who does not, who has a greater income than allowed, then HDFC would lose that tax benefit. It would lose 10% of its tax benefit, right? Because it's 1/10 of its units, of its shares. And it would also be allowed to, under this law, burden the violating unit, so the buyer of that unit, with that financial burden. I'm sorry, I forgot to say that HDFC would also have the right to rebut the HPD's assertion that there was a violation. I see your message signal, so I'm going to stop there. I hope this helps.
Just gentle prodding. Just gentle prodding.
Thank you.
So is there anything, Michael, that you're asking of us, or?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And I thank Victor and Barry for helping me out through this, because it's never very clear whether we should ask for a letter of support or a resolution. And it's obvious that a resolution is the best way to go here. And so we are asking for a resolution in support of this legislation, and that a copy of that if it's passed, a copy of that resolution be sent to the chairs of the housing committees in both houses up there in Albany. We have, as requested, taken the liberty of drafting such a resolution. We've shared it with, I believe, Victor, Barry, and Signe, and Liz. I think I may have shared it with you too. I may have not have had your email address at the time, but I can share it with you. It's just a Google Doc,
Please share it. I don't remember seeing it, so.
Yeah. So I can reshare it. That's not a problem. And
You
it
sent
doesn't
it
have to
yesterday.
get.
I see. You sent it yesterday by a Google Drive. Okay.
Yeah, Google Drive link. Yeah, it's not a attachment, it's a Google Drive link.
Yeah.
And so it's a draft. You can change it or amend it as you see fit. But we were asked to do that, and so that's what we did.
So because we don't we're not in person tonight, we can't vote officially on any action items. Are you feeling the need that we need to rush this in any way, or is it okay?
No, I don't think so. I think that if this resolution is passed next month, or discussed and rewritten, and then go through the mill, so to speak, and for next month's committee meeting, and then executive meeting, and then the general board meeting, I think that would be fine.
Yeah, that we appreciate that.
Signe, though, while we have most of the committee on, we could do like a straw poll to see if people are in favor of a resolution. And if they are, and we want to edit it and get it before exec can put it before the general board for this month.
Okay. How many members do we have on board today? I didn't get a count, so.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, is that a quorum?
Well, we can't officially.
It would be.
It would be if we were in person. But we
I see.
can get a general sense from, it sounds like we have almost everyone on, so we can get a general sense. We have everyone on that's usually here, I think, so.
Yeah, and I just say that because other committees, when they fail to make quorum, go to the executive committee for that
Yeah, yeah.
reason, to put the action item that they all agree on, but couldn't get in person.
I'll kick it off by saying I appreciate all the hard work you guys are putting in. April stays in my head whenever we talk about these topics. I am in support for a reso to help move this forward. Who would like to speak next? Oh, sorry, Bruce, do you have a quick question or?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm on Community Board 12, and we're going to be going through this same process. So whatever you're leading the way at this point, and hopefully we can follow on a positive note. And thank you very much for your time.
And we appreciate you coming to CB9 first because we have such a large quantity here. So, Barry?
I'm in favor of the resolution.
Yeah, I am too.
Let me share the reso while we're doing that, guys, just because I have it here now. This is the reso that Michael sent us. I'll send this out to the committee after the meeting as well, but just so you have a quick look at it. And I apologize and thank our next presenter for sticking around. We know it's been a long road here. One page, nice, okay. All right, there you go. Next committee member, Liz?
Yes, I support the reso.
Okay, Clayton?
I support it, but it would be good to have, yeah, just send it out after so we can take it.
I'll send it out. Just a general sense. We can't officially vote on it tonight. We're gonna take it to exec if everybody gives a general sense.
Yeah, I support.
Juan
said yes in the comments.
Yes,
Great.
yes.
Ilana?
Yes.
Annette?
Is
You there, Annette?
She's here.
I see her face in picture. All right. Did I miss anyone from committee? And then I'll go to public members real quick just to get their sense. I see Jared.
Liz, I'm sorry. Were you calling me?
That was me, Annette. I was just wondering how you're feeling about this general and in general with this reso.
I'm good with it.
Yeah. I think that's all the committee members tonight. Just our public members. Any general sense, Jared?
Yeah, sounds good.
Is Anita still on? No?
Anita says yes in the chat.
Yes.
Oh, there she is. Okay. Did I miss anyone? Is Olga here? Is Tanya here?
Tanya will be here later.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait, I see Olga's name. Olga, are you there? Okay. Well, I think in lieu of time here, we'll take a look at this. I will send it out to the committee after this meeting, and we'll
Very good.
Present it towards exec.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to make this presentation. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Signe. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to listen to us.
Yep.
Thanks for bringing it to us.
Yeah, I'll forward the Google Doc actually. Yeah.
Great.
To the committee. All right.
So we are going to continue with our agenda. We still have two agenda items. The next presentation is Wilfredo Lopez.
His team is here, I believe. Wilfredo, but is not able, but his team is here.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren Schuster, the Vice President of Government Affairs at Urban Resource Institute. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you today. We're going to get through this very quickly, even though the discussion before was both thoughtful and very entertaining. We appreciate how long your agenda is this evening and that some of you are unwell. So we will try to go as quickly as possible so you could all get home and to rest.
You need me to share your presentation.
Charlie, can you share that?
Yeah, I can try.
Thank you so
I
much.
can do it now. I have it up.
Oh,
okay.
if you
If you
have
wanna
it up,
do
that would be great.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine. I have it up, so I can do it.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Yep.
So
Thanks.
I am joined by a handful of colleagues. Unfortunately, Will was unable to join tonight, but I am joined by Charlie Carroll, our Senior Vice President of Asset Management, Angela Thompson, our Vice President of Homeless Families Residential, and Beverly Riddick, our Chief Operating Officer at URI. If you would remember, we were here about a year ago, almost to the day, I think. So now we're going to have to do this annually for Valentine's Day, it would seem. And we presented to you all on our 129th and 130th Street supportive and temporary housing project. We wanted to come before you this evening, both to provide you with an update because we've incorporated a lot of the feedback that you gave us into the project moving forward, and also to request a formal letter of support from the community board. We have applied for and received Build NYC bond financing for the project. And one of the components of that financing is demonstrating that we've secured community support for the project. And so I am going to kick it over to Angela very quickly to give you a high-level overview of who we are, just as a reminder, and then we'll get right into the project updates.
And thank you again, Lauren. Good afternoon or evening, everyone. So again, as Lauren has identified, I am Angela Thompson. I am the Vice President over the Homeless Families Residential Program. Pleasure to be back with you again this year as well. But just to give you just a high-level overview as shared with Lauren of who we are in terms of URI, in terms of our intentionality of who we are as represented here today, of 40 years of provisionally providing high quality, not only housing services, but also to social service and programmatic delivery model in partnership with many community board members as yourself, as well as the entity of the City of New York in terms of our external providers, Department of Homeless Services, which we are familiar with. Since our last meeting, we have expanded, which is wonderful, in terms of our social service engagement, as well as our housing opportunities, up to now 24 provisional programmatic models that we have. 11 is our emergency housing component, as well as 13 is our transitional homes, as well as we partner also too in terms of an additional department under URI, which is our rapid rehousing program. And that program provides service delivery throughout all of the 4 boroughs, Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, as well as Queens. So very excited about that. Again, just leaning in terms of who we are and our intentionality is that we provide safety each night. Our provision in terms of our programmatic model is providing almost 3,700 individuals each night within our all current facilities in terms of safety as well as housing. One thing that we're very excited about, not only with this new expansion, that also to what we have always prided ourselves on in terms of transitioning our families into permanent housing. And annually, we house about 350 families annually. And so we're just definitely excited about what that will also bring us to with working with the Community Board 9 here. Also, again, leaning in terms of who we are and our intentional and advocacy. A part of that programmatic model is advocacy, as well as very comprehensive service delivery. And what that looks like for us as a program and as an agency is always addressing what those issues look like, which is homelessness, DV, as well as housing insecurity in terms of transitioning people into, or families and residents into, housing permanency. One of our major modalities is trauma-informed, and we do that through those comprehensive service delivery models, and that is providing that safety for our families, providing that stability, and security on a daily basis. And that is kind of seen through our on-site leadership of social services. Also too, in partnership with our social services department, we also integrate social workers that work comprehensively in terms of stabilizing our families and assisting them in terms of into permanent housing. Also to our housing department, as well as our recreation and employment professional development in terms of empowerment, economic empowerment in partnership with that. And also just on site is our robust security team. Additionally, in terms of also being a part of just the integration of the community, we really work in partnership with the community schooling as well. And so a partnership with that is DOE, our Department of Education liaisons, and they're actually on site with us, partnering, alongside us, and just providing that on-site support for the stability of our families, but also the integration of the children into the school systems within that area. And then again, just our community integration in partnership with the Department of Homeless Services is one essential aspect that we're grateful for, that I can say is that as we're building out in partnerships with our community boards and building these new developments and the extensions of bringing in our families and residents, many instances about a certain portion is positioned where individuals that have been residents within that community, whether their children is in school or even in terms of employment and career opportunities that they're currently in, where also they get like first opportunities to reintegrate back in the community, which is a familiar space for them. So we are grateful for just this partnership, and I turn it over now to Charlie Carroll.
Thanks so much, Angela. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for having us here again tonight. If you could go over to the next slide. We're going to jump ahead a little because, and we can go to the next one too. And these are some of our Just initiatives. So we have our Economic Empowerment Program, which is based in Midtown Manhattan. So we're working on job training as well for the residents and participants that we serve. And we look at our temporary housing as temporary housing. We don't love the word shelter. We love it as it's a temporary home, especially for the children that we serve. We have a lot of children in relation to the parents that we come in contact with. If we want to go to the next one. So we did want to give some updates, and we have two properties that we have. So we have our 130th Street, which is our transitional housing. And then we have the 129th Street, which will be the permanent affordable. And wanted to be able to give an update. When we spoke a year ago, we were looking at 84 units of transitional housing for families with children. And then we were looking at 84 units of permanent affordable with a focus on domestic violence survivors and their pets. And we wanted to come back to say, through our design work, we've been able to make some changes that we think folks are going to be pretty happy about. We're really happy that we've been able to do this. So for the shelter, we're looking at 91 total units. We have a unit mix of 77 studios, which will serve smaller families, 14 one-bedroom apartments. Of the total units, 14 will be accessible, 5 through ADA, fully wheelchair, and then 9 vision and hearing. We'll have 3,500 square feet of social service space. This is where the social workers work, housing specialists, different support services, just as Angela had said. The one thing that was really exciting for us is that we will be able to, in our design work that we did, we are going to be able to have a 943 square foot community room on the street level that will have access from our vestibule lobby. So we'll be able to host community use and open it up for community use scheduled ahead of time, so that folks could come and visit the site, host meetings in the community, and not need to really go into the transitional housing proper to do that. And then we'll also have outdoor green space of over 3,000 square feet that we're doing. Last year, we showed you a schematic drawing, or sketch, I should say. If we go to the next slide, you'll see what the facade for 130th Street looks like. As you can see, this is the design of the facade of the building. This is on the 130 side, so you do have the hill and you have the steep drop. So what we were able to do in a design perspective, we will actually have a cellar and a sub-cellar, because there's so much depth below street level that we were able to capture that and add that extra community room and also continue with the social services. And then we'll jump over to the affordable side and the permanent, if you want to go to the next slide. So this we're very excited to talk about. We originally had come with 84 units with City of Yes and the work that the architects have done. We now are positioned for 102 units of total affordable and permanent housing. Of that, 61 units will be studios that will be supportive affordable housing for survivors of domestic violence and their pets. We heard land use when we came a year ago, and we appreciate the time, and Barry as well. We are able to have 7 2-bedrooms that will be affordable housing, 28 1-bedrooms, and 6 studios. So we were able to increase the number. We will have 1,700 square feet, approximately almost 18 for social service provider space. We will have a community room again, and then we'll have 11 floors and a cellar. And we'll also have another 3,000 square feet of green space for the residents that live here. Our goal is still to look at if we're able to, our architects are confident with the 102. They're still looking to see if there's any more that we are able to get, but that really will need to wait for coordination of all the trades to ensure proper unit layouts. But this is what we were able to do. So our goal today was really to come back and provide updates from a year ago and to tell you what we've been able to work on. We will be, as Lauren said, we will be closing our Build NYC bonds for the 130th Street project in April. And then we will begin our process for the 129th permanent affordable and supportive housing. If you want to go to the next, I think that's it. Thank you all very much. And we're happy to take questions.
Thanks, Angela and Charles.
Mhm.
Are there any questions? Can I ask what is the zoning of these buildings?
R7A is what they're looking at for the housing. The shelter will be a community facility with sleeping accommodations.
Okay. I feel like I remember, Barry, I thought I remember us saying that we would be open to an upzoning to get more affordability, but
we may still look
Yeah.
at it. We did this with City of Yes, and we took over all of the additional FAR from the 130th Street to go to 129th. We can still look at that as another option too. But we didn't expand any of City of Yes on the current 130th. We moved it over to the 129th side.
Yes, and so just to piggyback off Liz, and I apologize, I'm in a noisy place. I think that I'm very happy that about the increase in affordable units to or for that building to 102. But I do think that, for a rezone, this is the type of project we would want to see rezoned to maximize the number of affordable units that could be built. I also would just add, I know financing becomes a concern as the building gets larger and lots of capital, max out. I would strongly encourage you to speak to the West Harlem Development Corporation, whose offices are right down Amsterdam from this site. They have at least $10 million to put towards affordable housing in the district. And I think that, there are other sources of capital that could make a larger building make sense financially. And I think, again, the community is likely to support additional FAR for additional affordable housing.
Okay. We can do that.
I mean, this is an 100% affordable development, and it's real affordability if I remember the AMI mix. So
yeah, it's 60 or less.
We rarely get projects this good, and so when we do, we want to see them succeed as much as possible.
Okay.
That's one of the worries I had with this project. I remember it, that there were so many studios in comparison to 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms with which the biggest need in Harlem, all over the city, is families. Families need a shelter, and we're struggling right now. I mean, you have made a huge change from what you proposed the last time, so I appreciate that. But yeah, is there anything else that we could do to look at this again and see that these studios become at least one bedrooms? Or
Well,
I don't know how your architects are developing the plan anyway.
so part of we can look at expanding, but part of our goal from the work we do, we're the largest domestic violence shelter provider in the city and actually the country. And the number one unmet need is for single survivors for housing. So there's very few shelter beds for someone to escape an abusive relationship to get into shelter. And on domestic violence side, it's 180 days, time limited on the emergency side. And if that single survivor is in shelter and at the end of that 180 days, they're unable to find housing, they will go into, and in that environment, they were probably in a 2-bedroom apartment in one of URIs or another shelter provider that they were sharing that apartment. They had their own bedroom, that with a door that locked, and they shared a bathroom with one person, and they had their own refrigerator, things of that nature. Once that 180 days ends, they are not able to continue in the domestic violence side, and then they will be moved over to the DHS side as a single person, and now they may go into a dormitory style care, which is very different from why they entered shelter. So we have a huge unmet need, and we went to our shelter housing specialists and staff to say their biggest struggle is to find a place for single survivors to live permanently. And that was really the focus of our shelters. So those 61 studios are specific to that population because we see that as a continuum of care for a huge unmet need for folks that really need it. And so we can continue to look to see if there's another way to do, but our focus on a lot of our supportive side is to look at where we're able to put singles in too. And with that specific population being domestic violence survivors and their pets.
No, I appreciate your effort to even look at the plans again.
Yeah.
Would love to see more of the plans though. But no, I thank you so much for your patience and your time. Thank you.
No, thank you. We'll keep looking.
I have Lucas with his hand up.
Hi, my name is Lucas. I work for Senator Cordell-Clear. I'm just curious Barry had mentioned the AMI set it below 60 for
60
this?
and below.
Okay. Is that a breakdown or is it all at 60?
It'll all be at 60 for the affordable units. The DV will be are at a different level because they're going to be we're still looking at which supportive we're going to go through, but they'll be lower or that. There's nothing above 60.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Lucas, we'd be happy to give the senator a briefing on the project so that she's familiar with it. We're working with her on legislation for survivors. So we would love to come in and sit down and talk through the project in detail.
Yeah, sure. I can message you.
Great.
Are there any other questions? Doesn't look like it. Signe, I don't know if there's anything from you. I believe you have sent us a request for a letter of support.
And I believe we sent you a draft letter, which you are more than welcome to edit or use wholesale in any way that you see fit. But we would very much appreciate the community board's support on this. It would help with the bond financing significantly.
Let's see, did I receive a draft letter?
If you have not, then my apologies, and I will make sure that you receive it right now.
At the presentation, I don't see it. I could have missed it. It's very possible. I have 15 million things going on, but just send it to me.
I will send it right now. My apologies for that.
You have my email address and I can open it up real quick.
Okay.
If you don't have it, it's Signe, S-I-G-N-E, sings, S-I-N-G-S @gmail. We appreciate the help. Okay.
Okay, you should have it now.
Okay. I'm just waiting for my email to spit it out. Yeah, got it. Opening. Oh, verify my identity. Got it.
Let me know if you can't open it because our system is very proprietary. We take data security more seriously than maybe even
Yep,
the
they
NSA,
sent me a link. Hold.
especially these days.
No, I trust me. I get it. I get those phishing tests from work all the time. I got one today saying Groundhog Day challenge, and I was like, this sounds like a phishing. All
Oh,
right.
that would have gotten me. I would have opened it
Oh,
right.
yeah, it almost got me. It almost got me. All right. Okay, I got it. I got it. I got in. I broke the system.
Don't tell. Please, I'm going to be in so much trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. All right, so team, they are asking for again, we cannot vote officially tonight, but the executive committee can vote on our behalf on Thursday if we have something to show them, and we kind of give a vocal approval tonight that, we're in approval. But I want to make sure all the community board members get a chance to see this. Are you able to share this with all our committee members somehow? Same process that I just did, I guess. Do you need all their emails to do that?
Yeah, I mean, whatever is the easiest for you, I could share it with you and you could share it. You could give me their emails and I could share it back with everybody. Whatever is the easiest process. I could also create a Google Doc so that if you wanted to do edits.
Our preference, because if it's going to be a quick turnaround, we can all make edits or
Okay.
make changes as needed. So, and if it's Thursday that we're trying to, because Thursday's exec of this week, and that's a quick turnaround. So
it is. Yes.
If you can do it as a Google Doc and send it to us with a link.
I'll do that as soon as we finish up. Yeah, absolutely. And I
And if you need
appreciate
to
that.
limit it to just our email addresses, I can send those to you.
Okay.
Just make sure we can edit as well as view.
I will do that. Thank you so much. We appreciate this.
So team, it looks like it's similar to what we already knew about the project here.
I would propose we do the same thing with this letter that we did with the HDFC reso, which is we share it to everybody in a Google Doc so that we can all edit before Thursday, but then also kind of get a gut check of the committee's position on the letter.
Yeah. Well, I do appreciate you taking our feedback from last time. It is a good effort show on your part. We appreciate that as the board. At this time, I'm okay with what you just presented. Barry, how are you feeling?
I'm in support.
Okay. Liz, how are you feeling?
Well, I mean, other than having the flu.
Other than the flu.
I support this.
Okay. Juan, I see your name next.
I support it. I would love to remind Charles that he's gonna look into the plans and we're gonna keep talking about this. I would love that. But yeah, support.
Yep, we're absolutely committed to doing that, and we'll also show renderings as we get closer. We just did our first round of renderings internally. My customers are our program staff, and I make sure I build what they're looking for. So we can absolutely do that.
as we move closer, we always appreciate frequent updates and, any input we can help with or ideas to help expand affordable housing always help.
Absolutely. We'll also introduce at that time when we get closer, our contractor, they will set up an email if there is any issues. We can communicate 2-week look aheads. There's some different things we've done for a community board so they know exactly where we are in process. And, because we know that we are coming in as our first foray into being good neighbors, and we want to make sure we continue that.
Great. So I'm going to move on with Clayton. Where's your temperature?
I'm very much in support.
And then Annette, I see you next.
Yes.
And I think Ilana is probably the last one on.
Yes.
Okay, great. And then to our public members briefly, Jared, you're still on the line.
Yes.
And I see Tanya joined us.
Yes.
And Olga, can you talk or are you still not able? If you can put it in the chat, if you're good. And Anita says yes, but would like to read it, of course. So we'll send it as that Google Doc. And I think that's all our public members. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
We appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, everyone. We
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
Thanks for your
much. Thank
patience
you.
with us.
Bye-bye.
Thank
All the
you.
presentations. It's a busy night.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Okay. So back to our agenda. We don't have any new business. So we're going to move on to old business. RKO Hamilton Theater Task Force. I don't know, Signe, if we talked about this during last month's meeting. I think we did. I think Walter
Walter came on and just let people know that he's trying to revamp things a bit. I know, is Dan still on? Or did he leave? Looks like
I
he
don't
left.
think so.
Okay. Well, I know we were hoping to connect him with Dan. In case people don't know, there is a task force for the RKO Hamilton Theater to try and muster, interest in what's happening at that site. We have been in touch in the past with the developers. We've had visioning meetings with our community to talk about what we would like to see there. Obviously, we would love to see the theater intact. We would love to see affordable housing included. We have lots of grand ideas. I have a feeling there'll be a balance of where we can dream and what we can actually do in the end. But Walter's trying to pick up the torch, so to say, as it's been a bit slow recently. And get moving again on this. He's looking for people who have a vested interest in that site and maybe landmarking, maybe interested in the theater itself, in artist space, in affordable housing, all these kinds of things that could be incorporated. People who have any sort of knowledge, know-how, expertise, especially in federal funds on how we could help save the theater portion, how we could get, more affordable housing, anything, any federal funds that we can look. There's other theaters that have, gotten funding and brought back to their original esteem. We would love to see something like that, but we need the finances to make it attractive to the developer to, sell at a good price and then get all the things that we want. Did I kind of sum that up well, Liz?
Good.
Okay. So
nailed it.
Contact Walter if you want to get involved in this exciting project.
Signe, can you put Walter's email in the chat? Because I know Andy was on the task force and I don't think he's heard anything, so for him to get back in it.
Let me put, I think I'm okay to just send his email out. He's been sharing it.
Is that okay? Okay, thank you. Okay.
So Walt, oh, no, that's not it. I will put it in the chat.
Thanks, Signe.
Thank you.
Moving on, legislation we are watching. I mean, other than the bill that we heard from today, I don't know if there are any other pieces of legislation that anyone would like to bring up that we've talked about in the past. And if not, we will move on to developments we are watching. I will just make a note before we talk about 356 Convent. I did see a note from Victor saying that people from 1727 Amsterdam will be attending exec this week. I don't know exactly where that email went.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, Victor said BRC and Health and Hospitals will be attending the exec meeting to provide an update. So then moving on, we realized earlier this week, thanks Clayton for catching the demo permit at 356 Convent Avenue. So this is the Convent Avenue Baptist Church row house. They own 2 row houses across the street from the church on the corner of 145 and Convent Avenue. You all might remember that there was a temporary demo permit from last year because people were getting inside of the building, and I guess there are lots of things inside that are unstable. A story about a city official falling through a floor. And so the city has pulled a full demo permit on the building. I did see the scaffolding go up the other day, and I took a picture of the scaffolding. But now, Signe, I'm reading through an email that you sent, I think yesterday, that says that HPD has no plans to demo the building. So I don't necessarily understand what's going on. Oh, I see Jared.
That's out of date.
Yeah, there's another update.
I spoke with our council today, and where they are now is ownership received holds on the demo back in June of 24. They had delays in moving forward with asbestos abatement permit, so the demo hold was lifted in January, and then by DOB, and the HPD contractor filed for demo. Now the owner's team is hopes to reinstate the hold this week. They're trying to file everything that they need with DOB. Landmarks issued a permit for the restorative work back in December, so it seems as though this is turning in a good direction.
We hope so. Yeah, I saw another email from Rev that I'm glad that we brought it up to them, because it was a bit of a surprise, I think, to see that full demo permit come out again. And from what I understand was HPD or DOB getting confused who's making what orders here, but they wanted to see more progress on the asbestos work going on. There was something to that effect, and so they want to see more on that. But it sounds like it's just a push and pull now between the church and their legal representation and what DOB and HPD are requiring here, right?
Well, I mean, I can give a little background very briefly. You know, DOB has been nonsensical in the amount of times they've rejected the church's plan to, stabilize and rebuild the building. The engineer who's submitting the church's plans is someone that DOB looks to for structural engineering reviews, like for a third party. And the forensic engineer who keeps rejecting them is in fact being sued by another property owner for doing the same thing on another landmark building that was eventually then demolished. And so this seems, to be motivated by some desire to demolish the buildings. And it doesn't seem to be in good faith. So that's just my take on it. I think we're going to have to go back to DOB and have this conversation again, but whatever.
Okay.
I see Ewan has raised their hand. Ewan, would you like to
Yeah,
speak?
I just want to quickly say, I mean, in my conversation with the church, they don't want to demolish the building.
No.
And I was told that they were going to do restorative work on the building. So they feel somewhat pressured by the agencies, they're being pushed into this demolition
DOB
space.
keeps rejecting their permits to rebuild and restore the building. It's
I mean,
DOB
what can
that's
we do
been doing
about DOB? I mean, they did the same thing on Convent with Lisa Silverstein's building, where they ended up demolishing it.
Well, but the difference is
mean-
Lisa Silverstein didn't respond.
No. She, from what I understand from Willie Suggs, the DOB kept rejecting the renderings by their architect. But maybe Jared has a better insight on that situation. But in any case, the building is gone. But I would hate to see, miscommunication between DOB and whomever, that it ends up with that building being demolished. I mean, I think when the residents on 144th called about the vagrancy issue, I doubt that was their intent to have the building demolished. I mean, there's a big X on the building for some time, yet the cops from the precinct went in and fell through the floor, and that is what sparked this whole demolition thing. But what can we do? I mean, Jared, how does Landmark feel about it? Are they?
Well, I think that came from John, that sort of that history I just gave it from John Weiss.
Okay.
And we have issued permits back in December, so it does sound as though, things are moving forward.
Well, I will try to remain hopeful, but we've got to do something about DOB. I don't know what, Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ewan. Yeah, I can't imagine losing the corner building.
Yeah.
And that would just be devastating.
It would be.
Because the block is contiguous. I mean, well, for the most part, and I did see that one of the row houses that was abandoned up the street on 145 on the south side of the street, that there's a giant dumpster, and that they were clearing out, that one building that is abandoned. Ewan, I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't. Is that going towards Amsterdam?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, yes. Yeah, okay. All right.
But I walked by yesterday, and there was a dumpster, and the door was open, and I had never seen activity on that building.
Right. It was occupied until maybe, 5-6 years ago. Then it became vacant. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know what there is for us to do other than to continue to communicate with the church. I don't know.
The full game has to keep.
We actually have a pretty good line of communication to DOB normally, so I think we would do that and then escalate with the election.
You do have a good line of communication with DOB, so you could.
Yeah, they're
maybe
responsive
they should
when
be.
we reach out.
Well, maybe you should have them come in, to discuss the process for demolition. I mean, this is not the first time,
This
that
has
lack
been
of
escalated to
communication.
Commissioner Otto several times. This has gone all the way to the top of the DOB. This has been going on since June, this conversation between us, DOB, the church, and the elected.
Yeah.
It's a every case for itself kind of situation. Every scenario is unique.
All right. Well, we'll stay on top of that, and I am seeing it's 8:44 now, and I'm like shocked I've made it this far.
I am too, my dear. I'm trying to help out here, and I need to get off too soon. So, where are we at? And Barry, what did you just share in the chat? Is it something we need to know about? Or did he freeze?
No,
Okay.
peruse at your leisure.
Okay. And Lucas is offering Senator Claire's office. Thank
That's
you.
helpful.
Yeah. And we do need that help, Lucas, to escalate with DOB and try and
Great. Yeah, if you need anything, you always call our office. Senator Kerr loves to write a letter, so we'll be there.
And I think we already have Al Taylor, who promised to help support the church in this endeavor as well and try and save this building. So that's definitely, don't know if they've written anything, but yes.
I can talk to their office as well.
Yeah.
We work pretty closely with them, so.
Lucas, can I get your number?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Liz, are we in the let's see, agenda? We have
We're still under development. We are watching. I don't know, Clayton, if there was anything else that you found that we should discuss.
nothing new, I think.
Yeah, I think everything else wasn't new. I think the only thing would be like if other people are following the thing with if there are updates on Riverside Church. I sound like the generic article about it, but it seems like that's the only thing that might be timely right now.
Yeah.
And that was about the preschool closing.
Well, I guess it's about the preschool closing, but I think there's also just like a lot of speculation that something could happen, like that's related to some type of proposed development.
Yeah, like I want to say 8 years ago, Riverside Church put together a committee to look at redeveloping the part of their complex where the daycare is located, funny enough. And so that committee finished its work. I don't know what came of it. And then the church has had new leadership since that committee finished. So that may have been set aside, but that's where the speculation comes from, is the church had announced this committee and gone through the process already.
Yeah. Okay.
Any public member updates?
Tanya, Jared, Olga, Anita. I think we had the
Jared,
whole meeting until Olga left.
we do. We met last night. Jared, do you want to get us going? And
No, go ahead. That's fine.
No. You go. You
Okay.
You start, and I'll fill in.
Okay, so
You
Signe,
were
I
on the
think
last meeting.
last meeting we talked about trying to set something up, some sort of and I wrote down like tenants' rights was something that it seemed like people were interested in. So we met last night and we discussed, what we could do to put some sort of a talk together. We just threw out like different folks it might be good to have to at this meeting, maybe housing advocacy folks. I think I know of a lawyer who works with tenants' rights, the tenant association that, who else? Oh yeah, and then it just, Tanya, why don't you go ahead?
That was great. I think the only thing I'll add, I know a couple of ideas that came out at the last meeting that Jared shared was the tenants' rights and then this family caretaker rights. And so we talked a little bit about that, trying to understand what sort of falls in that area a bit. And we talked about kind of succession, and is this about like, can with ownership or rental rights be passed on to a caretaker? What are sort of what sits in that realm in terms of when elderly are looking to sort of pass on an apartment or a house? And I wasn't sure if that's what you were getting at when family caretaker rights came up. So that was just a question, but we thought that there could be something. Anita was thinking, it's kind of this next generation idea of legal questions and rights, and who has rights to what, and how do you pass things on? So if that's right, I wasn't at the last meeting, so we're just trying to figure out what people were, raising at the last meeting. But if we stay in this kind of tenants' rights space, what Jared said exactly, we thought, tenant associations, attorneys, housing advocates, possibly a city council person. Anita mentioned Prina Sanchez or someone from Sean Abreu's office, a housing advocate. And then we talked a little bit about, are there specific buildings where this is a question, because we're talking about places where there's a lot of rent control that may be going to co-op. So questions about people inheriting apartments. And, you know, and Giuliani made that all much more difficult, but, you know, maybe exploring where that sits right now. You know, transitioning, changeover. And then I guess the questions we had on the more logistical end were when we would need to do this, because I know this is a question of spending money too, that there might be some deadlines around that, how much funding there is, what we could spend the money on, when would be a good date, and place. And we talked a little bit about the forum maybe being a possibility, because if we do it in person, maybe the office wouldn't be big enough. Would it be a hybrid, you know, virtual and in person? So those were some of the questions. This was a very initial brainstorm with Jared, Anita, Olga, and myself. So just, yeah, wanted to bring it all to you. And please, if there were other ideas around a workshop, I've taken Community Land Trust, and I'm happy to move that over to another time. But yeah, just wanted to, we wanted to hear all of your thoughts.
It's always apropos to talk tenants' rights, and I like kind of the angle of generational succession of you know, building and different scenarios for that. I mean, we've got ownership passing along, we've got tenant passing along. You know, do you have a right in a rent stabilized place or a rent controlled place, or where are those rights attainable, right?
Yep.
I think that's an interesting angle too. It's something that is not always talked about in other tenant, because you know, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? We've got Palante who does workshops
Yep.
like this quite often. We have other groups. We're lucky to have some groups in our neighborhood that do focus on these things. So, yeah, I think that's good. And then as far as if we want to do the forum or something, that would be have to have some early and advance planning, and we'd want to get the office, UFA, or someone to help us maybe reach out on reserving a big space like that.
Right.
But yeah, and if you guys you know, need discretionary funding, I think we still have a window for that. So we just need to, there's a little, you know, basic proposal template I have that I use for asking for those funds. So if we have like a very general idea of what we want to do, we can put that in to get our $1,000 for that. It can go
It's
towards the outreach, and you know, it can go towards the meeting as an outreach event. Yeah. So
Great.
let's.
And I think the last time we
okay.
did this, it was in a weekend in July, I think. So we were thinking maybe it's June, something like that. Or maybe we also wanted to discuss that if that's too far.
The monies need to be
Yeah.
spent, I believe, by end of June. So you could buy things in advance and have the meeting later if you need to. But I believe we have to spend this round of discretionary funds by a certain date. And we'll have to ask you if we can request them now. We need to spend them by, I think it's the end of June, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Right. Terrific. And one question, and Paliante came up, Signy is one of the groups to look at, so that's great to hear you mention
And
that.
I see Lucas just offered the senator's office if it can help.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lucas. That's great.
Very
Quick question about virtual, hybrid, in-person. What are people's thoughts around that?
I mean, it's just proof tonight at our meeting in person, we've gotten maybe less than 10 people recently, and online we're getting 40 people. So I think it's a no-brainer that a workshop should have a hybrid option. Myself, I am confident and comfortable helping to, you know, make that happen and spreading the word to our various outlets. If you guys can come up with the names of people that can help us out and maybe help with the connection there, I'm the organizer at heart, as you know, and I'm good at that stuff. But yeah, and then I mean, I'm fine with like looking maybe at, you know, later on June or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yep. Our schedules are crazy. You know, you got Barry getting on a flight right now. I'm in a hotel room for an event. We're all crazy right now, but as a team and as a community, this is how we can make it happen and get that information out for our community. Thank you
Great.
guys for taking, you know, some lead here and appreciate it. We can't do it alone.
That's great. One last question in terms of translation. I know last time the outreach we did was in English and Spanish. We did not do the event in simultaneous translation. And so I do have a question about that because certainly we would need funds to pay for translators unless we have people who will do it pro bono.
I believe we can put that into a request,
Right.
part of the discretionary funds for a workshop like that, I believe. And am I mistaken? I think we bought some translation equipment, like some, you know, maybe limited, but equipment for translation services.
That's what
Look
Anita
into-
thought.
but
Yeah.
yeah, let's ask Eutha again what equipment we do have, because I feel like we bought some equipment with the, you know, general meeting in mind and then workshops in mind. And I am pretty sure we bought, if we need it, a screen and a projector. I think I bought those for a workshop previously. So we'll double check. I'll double check with Youth on what equipment we have if we need it. I don't know where we would be in the forum if we'd have access to that kind of stuff, right? If we need it for presentations and things like that. But obviously if we have the screen, we don't necessarily need that because we can do it like
Right.
this.
Right.
So, and does
Okay.
Juan have a question?
I just wanted to mention something to Tanya. I sent you a little message, but in addition to that, I think new tenants, when they sign a new lease, don't know their rights or the history of their apartments. And after a certain time, you lose any challenges you can make. My landlord is notorious for that. So heads up,
Right.
if you can do something about that, just touch on to show people links, or I mean it takes a little work to do it, but it's doable. So if you can touch on that, that would be awesome, I think, especially for new leases and new tenants.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
I see a confirmation from Hakil. We do have a projection screen and I believe a projector. And Hakil, do we have translation equipment? Meaning, you know, someone talks into a device and people can wear earphones and hear translation. I don't remember if we have that. Maybe we, yeah.
I would have to double check about
I
that,
feel
but
like
I'm
we
not
bought some
quite too
equipment
sure.
like that, but
We
you know.
did, but I'll double check when I get back into office tomorrow.
Yeah. No worries. All right, cool. Any
Great.
other thoughts on that? Otherwise, we'll move forward.
No, I just wanted to say, Anita, I didn't realize you were on the call. I'm so sorry. I'm just seeing now. I just saw the initials AC. So.
Oh, yes.
Anita's
Maybe we
here.
call
I'm
it
sure it's-
transitions. Okay.
Okay.
She's got a name and a concept. Ready to go.
I know.
Give it
I love
to me.
transition. All right, cool. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Awesome. And I'm betting Liz is getting to the end of her energy for the night. How you doing out there, Liz? MHCC updates. I don't think there's anything major there unless anyone on the call has any MHCC updates. Anything of note? I don't know, is Barry on a flight now or is he still on?
I have boarded. I am on my flight.
Okay. We said we need a day in the life of three community board
Airplane
members.
mode.
Yeah, airplane mode, hotel mode. And then till is the other action or other item. I don't think anything of note there.
I think we might be worth trying to get in front of the Housing Buildings Committee in the City
Okay.
Council for their budget hearing again, like we did however many years ago.
Okay. All right. All right, cool. Thanks, Barry. And then we already spoke about the action items. We'll take a look at those in the next day. If people can give their input on the two items from tonight, the letter of support for the bill and the, wait, it was reso for the bill, letter of support for the project on 129, 130. Take a look at the Google document Michael just sent you, and when we get the other one, take a look at that and make any edits you think might be friendly amendments. And then we'll present those at Thursday. Barry, you're at Thursday, right? Exec meeting? Okay, because Liz and I are both again.
Virtually, but yes.
I mean, if I make it on the airplane on Thursday,
Well, and we'll be advocating for if I'm on, I will advocate, and Barry will be on advocating regarding the other thing, the attendance thing. All right. Liz, I'll let you do the final honor so that you can finish this up.
I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
So
moved. Pathetic. So seconded.
Was I supposed to ask something else, Signe?
No, you just sound really tired and not well. So
It was
you
like
need to get
the
off.
most I've done in 3 days.
Yeah. So Liz needs to get off and get better. I need to get some sleep so I can get up really early for an event, and Barry needs to get on the air. Guys, thank you so much for hanging with us tonight.
Thanks, Lucas, for
Good
joining
meeting.
us.
Good meeting. Thank you, Lucas.
No
Yes.
problem. I'm
You have a
the
great-
designated community board 9 person of our office now, so I'll be coming to more meetings. So don't
We
worry.
love seeing you. Thank you. Yes, we need all our reps.
Of course. Bye, guys.
All right. Good night,
Everyone.
everyone.
Safe
Thank
travels,
you,
Barry.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Can we save the chat?
Yes. Save chat. I've got it saved now.
Great. Thank you. Get some rest, Signe, and feel better, Liz.
Yep. Have a safe flight, Barry. Thank you, Hakil, if you're still on.
Yes, I'm actually on the 1 train on my way home. I'm at 103rd.
I was hoping for an 8:30 end. You
No,
know,
it's okay.
it was a long night.
YEL kind of went a little longer than usual too, so
Oh, they did.
it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least they had the whole room to themselves tonight. So, yeah, it's so funny. We get 10 people in person, and here we are online. We get 40. So it just goes to show. Yep. All right, honey. Get some rest. Get home. Get home safe.